You are live, ladies.
Morning, everyone. Oh, 6 days till opening day. That's my number 6, David Peralta.
Just for you.
I was like, I can agree with that one.
You're getting shared on my news page today, too.
You know, I was talking to Border Patrol agents. They said it's awesome to listen to your show because they find out more about what's going on down on the border before they even know about it.
And you know what?
That was
it's
a comment that
correct
Border Patrol
information.
agent gave me today.
Really? That's awesome.
Hi, Kathy.
And it's correct info. We will wait to get the correct info.
Hi, Artie.
Hi.
And the rodeo's official now?
Yes.
Rodeo's
Gotta be at the
official.
fairground, so
Yeah.
that's-
Yep.
So now we gotta get spooled up for
We're
that.
having Peggy Collins on Monday.
Oh,
She'll
nice.
give us some
Nice.
details.
Yep.
Hi, Lisa.
Hi, Lisa. Hi, Jolynn. Thank you for what you do.
Yes.
Hi, Mallory. Marty.
We'll talk about it, Mallory. All right. Are we ready? Can you hear? Let me turn you up.
Communications.
Yeah, maybe my connection's a little super wonky.
We gotta keep this going.
I can hear it there, just not. I can hear.
Okay, here we go.
Welcome to Today in Yuma. I'm Jennifer Blackwell.
And I'm Teresa Straub.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning on Z93 and Outlaw Country if you're listening to us on the radio, or maybe you're watching us on the Sunset Health Facebook Live feed.
Yes, either way you decide to hang out with us, thank you for doing so. We love to see your beautiful faces every single morning. We want to say good morning to Marty, Mallory, Laura, Lisa, Kathy, and those are just the ones I can see. Artie, I know there's more there, so happy Friday, and thank you for hanging out with us.
All right, and it wouldn't be Friday if I was. My headphones are just still super wonky. See,
won't.
but better than last Friday. Last Friday is when the computer decided to, hey,
Hey,
I'm not working today.
Can you not put that in the universe,
Hey,
please?
it knows that we appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right. Today is Cat Shirt Friday, and then we have a great show coming up because we have Yuma County Sheriff Leon Wilmot joining us, and he's willing to stick around most of the hour. And we also have Tanya Pavlak, the new public affairs specialist for the Yuma County Sheriff's Office.
Awesome.
First, we have to talk about our Cat Shirt Friday giveaway.
Okay.
I posted it yesterday to give people a little bit of a head start because it contains tickets for Kokopah Speedway, and I wanted to make sure they could pick them up today.
Yes.
And use them for the tractor pulls and the demolition derby that's taking place this weekend.
All right.
So the prize includes a $50 Lotus Day Spa and Salon gift certificate.
Ooh.
From FanQuest, we have some goodies. We have Batman Ninja, that's a card set. Force of Will, that is one of the card packs, the little blister packs. And Magic the Gathering, a card pack. Advocate Pest is going to help take care of those pesky spring bugs with the General Pest Control Spray. From the Phoenix Suns, we have a t-shirt, bracelet, a cell phone bracket, playing cards, and a bottle opener.
Ooh.
We have a necklace and earring set, and then a separate set of earrings too for
Ooh.
Brittany Gaither with paparazzi.
All right.
From Z93, we have our brand new t-shirts and our 32-ounce tumbler.
Woohoo.
Arizona Diamondbacks t-shirt, hat, bracelet, and stickers, and their home opener is sold out.
Yes.
But
6 days away.
stay tuned
Yes.
because they have other games coming up.
Yes.
We also have an 8x10 sunset photo from Jennifer Blackwell Photography. 4 tickets to Kokopah Speedway. From Round Table Pizza, we have a $15 gift certificate, bringing your total for the prize to $365.
Wow. All for just sending in a pet photo, a selfie of you wearing a cat shirt like we are this morning. Anything pet related. If you don't own a pet, that's okay. You can always go to Google, find an image there, or maybe you saw a funny pet cat meme, dog meme, any animal meme. We like to see those too, but just get them in by noon today.
By 10
Oh,
a.m.
I'll say
10
you have
this morning.
56 minutes to get them in, so that way we can draw the winner. And again, you can enter as many times as you like. So if you have multiple pictures of your pet, just send them all in. That's an entry in the bucket.
Any pet. For
Yes.
complete rules, visit monstermediayuma.com because I have firm knowledge our sheriff is a dog guy and a horse guy.
Right.
Am I correct?
Absolutely.
Joining us this morning, it is March 26th. We have Yuma County Sheriff Leon Wilmot. Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Ladies.
And brand new to the sheriff's office, but not new to our show. She's been here
No.
before. We have Tanya Pavlak, and she is the new public affairs specialist for YCSO. Welcome.
Good morning, Yuma.
Good
Now,
morning.
be prepared because I'm going to be one of those people you're like, oh, it's Jennifer again.
It's Jennifer again.
It's Jennifer again.
I'm sure she enjoys you. It could be worse.
I reach out to find information that the community is soliciting from me.
Exactly.
So we just do it to kind of keep them on that straight and narrow there.
All right.
All right, Sheriff, today a lot has been happening. Now, someone asked, they said, are you going to address the mask mandates? Well, yesterday the governor pretty much said it's up to you.
It's up to you.
The business owners can implement things if they wish or keep them status quo. Whatever is up to them. Sheriff and Tanya have been fully vaccinated.
Yes.
We are getting vaccinated on Monday.
Yes.
So that's, if you still wish to wear one, we're not in the clear.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing is, respect the businesses. If the businesses say you must still wear a face covering, wear a face covering.
Well, it's like I've always said from the very beginning, be cognizant of your health conditions and then take all the proper precautions that you need to protect yourself and your family.
Exactly.
That's the important part. We're all adults. Let's do what we need to do to make sure that we're promoting safety, and then recognize some people have medical conditions that they cannot wear masks. So that's important in the scheme of things. Don't just automatically assume somebody's being arrogant or they're anti-mask.
Right.
It could be a medical condition, so we all have to pay attention and just protect ourselves.
A number of factors out there affect every situation. Yesterday, we received the press release while we were live on air, so we shared it from the governor's office. They are lifting the restrictions on gatherings of 50 people or more. We have the Silver Spur Rodeo coming back.
Exactly.
That will be happening in April. And the governor's office yesterday released information that the Arizona State Fair will be returning. And they're moving to a different location this year. It'll be kind of a temporary move. Puts them on land with more space.
Yeah,
Is that Wild Horse Pass?
It's Wild Horse Pass, and they were talking, they wanted a bigger venue so that way they can accommodate for some physical distancing and all those things so that they can still have the fair, but do it in a safe manner.
Well, a lot more parking out there, too.
Yeah, a lot more parking out there.
A little tight where they were at. It's kind of encroached on that area.
Some friends that I have that live up in the area were like, yes, it's closer to me. So they're excited about that.
A lot of open country out there, so they can really make that expand.
They
as
really
need
can.
it, so it's great.
And there's a lot. Yes, Lisa, it's not far from your house at all. But there is a lot of people that go to this fair. It is a big fair, so the fact that they're able to spread it out a little bit, I think it'd be a little bit better with a little more elbow room, anyways, because it gets packed out there.
So
All right.
we'll see when the Yuma County Fair gets.
Yes, hoping for
announced
a fall
again.
date.
Yes.
It's working out all those logistics. We had Eric here a week ago. He's been talking about the drive-in movies they're doing, but also the possibility of a fall date. One of the things that they encounter is several other counties in Arizona have fall fairs, and a lot utilize the same vendors. So it's a matter of lining things up so you can get this vendor this particular weekend.
And entertainment too. The entertainment kind of does the fair circuit, so they're working it out. I fingers crossed. I don't know. The Arizona State Fair is like a month long, so we'll see how it goes.
All right. Well, one of the other very obvious things that you have been very visible in the media, the national media too, Sheriff, involves our challenges along the U.S.-Mexico border.
Unfortunately, Yuma again is in the spotlight because of the current situation that we're experiencing down along the border. Initially, it was the administration wasn't well prepared in Washington, D.C. for what was going to happen once the president signed that executive order stopping what was in place from the previous administration. And as a result, Yuma got hit pretty hard with the family units coming across illegally from Mexico. Now, we're experiencing a large influx. The last word I got was they were averaging anywhere between 200 to 300 a day coming across just in Yuma County.
Oh my goodness.
The concern that we had as law enforcement all along the border has been the fact that when they got overwhelmed because of obviously the COVID restrictions, was that these individuals were going to have to be released out into the communities if ICE wasn't able to pick them up. So what folks need to understand is Border Patrol is not really immigration. Border Patrol is border security. If they detect and apprehend an individual that has entered the country illegally between the ports of entry and not through the port of entry, then their job is to take custody of that person and then transfer that to ICE immigration. That's their sole responsibility to handle that individual from there. Unfortunately, we have seen where the administration back in Washington, D.C. has diluted and tried to actually defund and dismantle ICE because of political. And unfortunately, politics keeps getting integrated into public safety, and that's not a good thing. So when this happened, ICE obviously didn't have the manpower or the ability to be able to handle this large influx. So it left it on Border Patrol's backs. Border Patrol, because of COVID restrictions, can only handle so many people per day, and then they have to keep them, according to CDC guidelines, separate. Our concern for law enforcement was that Border Patrol had no choice but to release them into the communities along the border, and not just in Yuma, but all borders, from San Diego to Brownsville, Texas. So, as sheriffs, our concern is we have COVID restrictions, it's a pandemic, individuals are not being allowed to travel, and even 26 countries are banned from travel to the U.S. and vice versa. And Mexico just extended their travel ban.
Right, through mid or late April.
Correct. So our thing is like, okay, what are you doing in regards to ensuring that anybody that leaves your custody is checked for COVID, number one. So we're not exposing the citizens along the border to further COVID. And then the other question was that, unfortunately, we experienced this before, is we do have fraudulent family units. Our concern in law enforcement was the fact that if you have a fraudulent family unit, what are you going to be able to do to detect this and not basically assist these individuals in exploiting a juvenile? Because unfortunately, there are some heinous individuals out there that we have encountered in the past that have utilized these kids for nefarious reasons.
And not one child once or twice. There are some that have been used
Recycled.
15 times.
During the 2019, they did a test here in Yuma County, or the Yuma sector and Texas sector, where they actually, when we had the last humanitarian issue, they did they started doing DNA, and they detected that 3,500 juveniles had been recycled.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
During that. And that was our concern this time, is like, what do you have in place, Washington, D.C., to ensure this doesn't happen again? Because these kids are being recycled, they're
utilizing them to come across under the guise as a family unit.
Right, correct. So they didn't have anything. The individuals back in D.C. had not had a plan in place. So unfortunately, Border Patrol is still not able to do COVID testing before they're released from their station, and that was happening. And there was no NGO initially that we could locate, and the mayor has been very, very good on trying to help alleviate this from happening in the city of Yuma. Because Border Patrol can't transport them anywhere. They just take them to the nearest bus station, but we don't have a bus station.
Well, that's the concern that a lot of people, a lot of citizens in the community have pointed out. They're like, what's happening to these people here? We can see the situation here in Yuma, but we've been hearing a lot of stuff out of Gila Bend, which is a much smaller community. They don't have anywhere near the resources that Yuma does, and we still lack when you compare us to Maricopa County. But they have a small town.
It's devastating.
It's a state of emergency there. The mayor there did a Facebook Live a couple of weeks ago, and he's like, we just can't take them in. Right. But other people are saying, well, they don't want to stay in these communities they're getting access through. like the Yuma 4 or ending up in Gila Bend. They don't want to stay there. They want to go somewhere else. Well, they may not be able to get anywhere else. So they are in our communities.
And that was a situation like last time was where the NGOs were able to, they could stay there, they could utilize a phone or a computer to be able to coordinate with a family member or friend that was already in the United States to be able to get bus tickets or plane tickets. And that was our concern. It's like, okay, you're releasing these folks at the Jack in the Box on 4th Avenue, and they have no way of coordinating this activity. And you're allowing them to utilize public transportation knowing that they haven't been tested for COVID or any other communicable disease, which we have encountered, tuberculosis, scabies, everything, you name it, has come across our border. So that was our concern from a public health standpoint, and then a public safety standpoint is how many kids are being exploited during this process, and it's being allowed to happen because they weren't properly planning for any of this. And history shows that this was happening.
Yeah.
And that was the frustrating part for us as sheriffs all along the border. Joe Frank Martinez from Valverde, Texas, his community is much like ours, but has even less resources. They don't have an NGO, and they don't have the funding in their community to be able to handle this. So it's our federal government dumping on the communities. And it's like we've said, they're not staying here. You're right. They're going everywhere. They're going to New York. They're going to Washington.
We've heard a lot of Florida.
Yeah.
A lot of Florida. For Yuma, we're seeing individuals. I was down on the border last night and ran across, let me pull this up, but with a media crew, and we had individuals. I should have had this ready, not prepared. I'll refer to my public.
While you're looking that up, I have to commend you and our border sheriffs. You guys have band together to be so outspoken, not just on our local levels, but on the state levels, on the federal levels. You're trying to get, our politicians to see what exactly is going on here.
You are being the voices for Yuma and these other communities, El Paso, Brownsville,
all those different
Nogales,
areas.
because there's not a lot of people necessarily caring about border communities.
Yeah.
Well, and we've been engaged with the National Sheriff's Association, the executive director, because they're located right there in Washington, D.C., and the message that we wanted to get to Mayorkas and the rest of the administration back there was the fact that these press releases are upsetting that they're given out to the American people because they are not correct. And as sheriffs, we can be a voice for those communities, and we can put out the facts. Whereas right now, this administration back in D.C. has put a gag order on our federal partners on not talking to anybody. And if they are asked a question, that question has to go to the administration in D.C. and they will send them back what their answer will be. That is not any level of transparency that we were all promised, and that's the frustrating part for us in law enforcement. You have to tell the truth.
Yeah.
You do.
That's the bottom line, and you got to be honest with the citizens that you serve. It might hurt, and they might not agree with what's going on, but that's not our control. We're here to report the facts, just like we take any case, and then we give those facts out, and we can be that voice, and we are doing it because our senators and our reps need to be engaged at the local community level and with law enforcement. You look at just the impact on our jails alone. 2019 was the lowest amount we ever had as far as illegal aliens in our jail compared to 2009. The citizens of Yuma County and every other county in the United States pick up that bill for illegals that have been charged with committing a state crime. The federal government only reimburses us 5 cents on the dollar.
Really?
So for 2019, you look at those numbers, it was almost $500,000 that it cost the taxpayers of Yuma County for housing and taking care of the medical for illegal aliens charged with state crimes in our county. In 2009, it was $1.7 million.
Wow.
And we only get reimbursed 5 cents on the dollar. But yet our government can go out and pay for motel rooms and do all this and still not pay their bill. And that's frustrating for us because those are taxpayer monies. And now they're looking at raising the taxes again. But they're only going to do it on rich corporations. I got news for you. Those corporations are going to pass that on
Exactly
to the consumer.
right.
And people need to understand that, and they need to be engaged with our senators. The Arizona sheriffs asked for our 2 senators to actually meet with us so we could share our knowledge in what's going on and what's needed for Arizona when it comes to border security or law enforcement.
Well, Representative Gosar has been, a strong proponent of encouraging the administration to come see for themselves what is happening here. And it's hard to get other people to want to really come down and see that.
Our senators have not wanted to meet with us at all. And I don't know whether that's because staff hasn't pushed our letters forward. I've sent a letter. Sheriff Daniels has sent a letter to them personally, to Cinema and Kelly. And the staff has reached back from Cinema's office, but nothing from Kelly's office at all. And that's disappointing for law enforcement as a whole, for all the Arizona sheriffs. We eat that cost, and our taxpayers have to pay for that.
And our already stressed nonprofits that are trying to step up and do what they can here, they're already stressed, and now they're trying to take care of all of these people that are coming across, and they're trying to do their part and trying to get them tested, as many as they can, because they can't do much, but they're doing what they can, and then again it falls on us.
It's a pandemic anyway, but now we're dealing with variants. We have a variety of variants now that are coming through, and when you talk about these people coming through Mexico, Sheriff, some assume that it's just people from Mexico. It's not. Mexico is kind of that crossing point to access our border here, but they're coming from all over. I know I was speaking with someone involved with Border Patrol, and he encountered a few Iranians. They did have paperwork, but they didn't have it with them. So there's proper channels, there's carrying documentation, there's making sure things are done the right way. But again, we're dealing with COVID, but now we're hearing about these other kind of offshoot branches too. We don't know how that's really going to affect things. I saw that U of A has reported cases of a new UK variant.
Right.
So if people it's just coming from all over.
Yuma.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah. So the countries last night just alone were from Cuba, Portugal, India, Mexico, Brazil, El Salvador, Honduras, Guatemala, and Ecuador.
Oh my goodness.
And that was just last night in 3 different groups that we ran into when I was down there along the river corridor. So, and this is happening each and every day. And our Border Patrol agents, God bless them, are down there doing their job and trying to make things happen. But you're right. If it wasn't for the NGO that we have here, they're testing. And they're actually the ones that are paying for the buses to transport these folks to a facility where they can get in contact to arrange for transportation. And if they do detect anybody with COVID, then they're able to help them and get them the care that they need. But again, that's our federal government putting the onus on the local communities, because if they are detected with COVID, they got to go to a hospital. And that's going to take up a bed at our local hospital. And some communities are just like ours. You have one hospital for the whole community. And right now, I mean, YMC has been stretched thin in the past. And we would hate to see that happen where somebody that was here locally couldn't get in because they're going to get overwhelmed. But our NGO has been able to help with that. And bus tickets aren't cheap. I mean, for an NGO to lease a bus or rent a bus to take one trip is $1,500. So that's quite a chunk of change that's being taken out of the community for them to help somebody that unfortunately during the pandemic lost their job, lost their house. They're homeless now. They're trying to feed their families. That takes away from that.
Many challenges across the board. But we're going to take a break in a second because we have you this whole hour. But one of the big things I've seen was, how can we turn people away? The United States is built on immigrants. What's your argument against that? Okay, ponder that. We're going to take a break. We'll be back with more of the Today in Yuma show with Tanya Pavlak and Sheriff Leon Wilmot on Z93 and Outlaw Country. The show is brought to you by Quick Refrigeration, where today is Free Filter Friday. Take your old, dirty, dusty air filter down to 190 West 10th Street. They will swap it out with a brand new standard 1-inch air filter for free. That's Quick Refrigeration.
And Spike Sports, they are home of Yuma's coolest indoor shooting range and your hunting and shooting headquarters. You can stop by today on 32nd Street next to Lowe's.
And are you looking for a recliner? Houston's Yuma Furniture has one of the largest recliner selections in town. Stop by the showroom today on Avenue B and see for yourself. That's Houston's Yuma Furniture.
Advocate Pest and Wildlife Specialist is locally owned and have been providing pest control service in the Yuma area for over 20 years. With these warmer temperatures, that brings out those spring bugs. Give the professionals at Advocate Pest and Wildlife a call today.
And Yuma Nelson is a locally owned full-service wholesaler. They specialize in plumbing, waterworks, and industrial piping supplies. Their motto is, we're pros like you.
Plasma centers are critical, and donating plasma today could help others and earn you some extra money. Call Telecris Plasma Resources at 782-2101.
It's Today in Yuma. We'll be back after the break on Z93 and Outlaw Country.
Just happen to have some funding numbers.
Some fun numbers!
Tanya, you picked a good time to come into the sheriff's office.
Baptism by fire. Baptism by fire.
That's the way to learn, though.
All right, let me share some of the comments with you
Oh, we
here.
have lots of
on
comments.
Facebook Live, we have, of course, Janelle from Iowa. Whoa, Sheriff Leon, most excellent way to wrap up the week. Lori says, I love our sheriff. Brad says, hello, Sheriff. Good to see you.
Good morning.
Mallory says, thank you so much for telling us what's really going on. And when you talked about all the countries they've come from, Lori says, whoa. And David Pospisil says, good morning, Sheriff.
Good morning.
John Fugate says, tell the sheriff I'll work on the senators getting back to him. That's BS. And Angel says, actively listening to our awesome sheriff. Thanks, Leon. And Diane said, I'm sharing this with friends around the country who need info. Thank you.
Exactly. And we have a couple more. Our sheriff is amazing. Good morning, Sheriff. You have a lot of support, which is great. It's important.
And it's good to have that balance with the community and getting that information out. It's important. They want to know. And we have to be straight up and honest with them. That's what we're here for.
And I love, that you take the time, like last week when you had
Kenny Schrader.
Kenny Schrader, I couldn't think of his name.
When you poached our celebrity last week.
Yes, but it's okay. But in all, it's a good thing because those are people that don't get to see this stuff every day, and they just get it, secondhand from media and everything else. But when they actually see it for themselves, and they're from East Coast or Midwest, all those different areas,
they can share with other people they encounter and say, "I saw it for myself."
That's not true. I saw these.
It wasn't
people.
what they were seeing on mainstream media or reading in the national papers too. It was something they witnessed, and I'm sure, based on the trip you took them on, probably certainly saw people cross.
Mm-hmm.
We did, and their eyes were open. And to me, it's important that, it's like with our senators, and I've said this the whole time I've been the sheriff down here. Whenever we've had any crisis, is if you're going to come down here, don't advertise your coming.
Yeah.
Don't, because all the bells and whistles are going to come out. Everybody's going to be out there. Just come. Give me a call. I will take you down there and show you what it is that we deal with as a community on a day-to-day basis without all the bells and whistles, because you're not going to get that every day. It's untruthful. And none have ever done it other than one, and that was Gosar years ago in 05-06.
And maybe that's why he's so passionate now.
It could be.
But I shared his press release directly, and some of those I'll just screenshot it so they can see where it came from. And same thing with some of the DHS press releases that come out too, because there are certainly a lot of jabs in the things that they're putting out too. And this way people can see that it comes from them, and it's not something that I've written. I want people to see exactly what they're saying.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Okay. Welcome back to Today in Yuma. I'm Jennifer.
And I'm Teresa.
Sticking around with us again, we have Sheriff Leon Wilmot with the Yuma County Sheriff's Office and Tanya Pavlak, the Public Affairs Specialist with the Yuma County Sheriff's Office. We've been talking about the border situation. Sheriff, has a common term been designated for individuals that end up over here illegally? Because a lot of people, there are articles and websites on that's offensive, that's not appropriate terminology. It was illegal alien. We have illegal immigrant. We have undocumented individual. There's like a whole slew of things, but I don't know if anyone's ever come upon one that they agree on.
And there's a difference.
Well, and there is, and I'm happy to explain that. Under the Code of Federal Regulations that our federal government has for immigration, if an individual enters the country between the ports of entry, then they would enter the United States illegally as an immigrant. And that's the way it's spelled out in the Code of Federal Regulations. So you always want to refer to that. For an individual to be called an illegal alien is an individual that's actually committed a state crime that's in our jail. And then they have obviously entered the country illegally as an immigrant, but now they have committed a crime. And that's how it's separated. So when we refer to individuals that have entered the country illegally, those are immigrants because it's from different countries. So they have entered between the ports of entry, and then they have committed a Code of Federal Regulations violation. So that would make them a illegal immigrant. So if you stick with the law, then that's good. If you don't like it, change the law. That's the way we are in law enforcement. It's just, this is the way it's spelled out.
It's black or white.
This is what was made law by the administration in Washington, D.C. So that's how it's referred to. And that's why it's important to get out there. And I will tell you, our partners in Mexico are just as bumfuzzled with their government on how they're handling this too. Because you know as well as I do, we have a lot of family and friends that live in Mexico. Right across the border. And the cross-border trade, Mexico is our partner.
It's crucial.
And as long as it's done legally, as long as it's done the correct way.
Nobody wants this in their neighborhood over there any more than we do here.
Exactly.
You know, I get it. Law enforcement, every day we deal with humanitarian issues. We really do. And our Border Patrol agents are, we had a 13-year-old the other day that was taken to Amerlee's place that had come across unaccompanied child with some friends. 13 that had been raped 2 days prior to coming into the U.S. The cartels are exploiting every bit of it, and that's the message we're trying to get to Washington, D.C. is you're not helping anybody by allowing this to happen. Because if you don't have a consequence delivery, the cartels are going to continue on. And you're looking at $6,000 a piece, more if you're from a special interest country, like you mentioned, Iran, Uzbekistan, Syria, terrorist type countries, special interest, they're paying more, up to $30,000 to be smuggled across, and the cartels control all 2,000 miles of international boundary between the U.S. and Mexico. They control where activity happens and what activity happens each and every day. And it's important that people understand every person that you see that comes across the 200 to 300 per day here in Yuma, the cartels are making at least $6,000
per person.
Per person.
What were you? We watched one of the news. It wasn't one of the main networks we're familiar with. I think it was a social media channel. But you did an interview with them the other day. You were out at the border and you were calling it Uber for the cartels. And
that's exactly what's happened, just like last time. And that's why we wanted to meet with our senators and say, look, this is what happens. And you see the article where Chad Wolf, Secretary of Homeland Security, told this administration, if you do this, this is what's going to happen. And what he told them was going to happen is happening now. And I get the humanitarian side of it. I really do. I've been to El Salvador. Those people from every one of these countries they're die hard for their country. They really are. They love their country. They don't want to leave.
But
it's their government that has created these issues that they need to flee. And that's important to know. They're not coming here because somebody wants to turn the U.S. into a socialist or country. They're not. They want the capitalism. They want the freedom. And their governments are failing them. And our administration, instead of getting on those governments and ensuring that they're utilizing the funds that the U.S. sends those countries each and every year to help them, is being utilized correctly to improve their quality of life. That's what we're about. And I understand that, you know, these people are coming for help. They need help. What is the threshold? Nobody's identified the threshold. At what point do we break the bank? I mean, we want a lot of stuff too in our lives.
Well, we just passed a $1 trillion+ stimulus package that did include a lot of foreign aid. A lot of people don't understand that, but that's what we have done forever for our country. And we before we went to the bake, we talked about the United States is a country founded on immigrants.
Exactly.
They're the workers that work from the ground up.
Mm-hmm.
And your thoughts on that?
And we are, and that's where it comes into play. That's why we help all these other countries, because we want to see them improve the quality of life over there in their country, so they don't have to leave. You know, we're all proud of where we came from and our heritages. 2020, the U.S. government committed over $1 billion worldwide for just the pandemic issue.
Wow.
To address what's going on. People don't know this. 112 million to the Western Hemisphere. 22 million went to El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, and Mexico to help with this pandemic. So we are helping as citizens. 850,000 was to help for the migrants and the refugee problems that those countries were having from they got people coming in from other countries into theirs. So we are doing stuff to help those countries. But are those governments being responsible and utilizing those funds for that? Because obviously they're not. I mean, I was talking with a lady last night down on the border. She was walking up along the river corridor, and I asked her, I said, where are you from? Well, she was from Cuba. I said, well, how long has it taken you to get here? And they've been traversing from Cuba for a year.
Oh, wow.
You know, her and her boyfriend. And they finally made it across last night. But it's taken them a year. You look at the unaccompanied children that if you were to walk from El Salvador, Guatemala, it'd be like a 3-month journey. And that's why I gave you this book on the crossing that Howard Buffett did, because it covers both sides of the issues.
Right.
And we have a number of philanthropists out of the United States that are out there that are also helping these other countries to help them learn how to farm and feed their families and improve
We
those
want
quality
them
of life.
to be self-sustaining because we want
Exactly.
them to have the
Right.
home company of their dreams.
But when you've got 30,000 unaccompanied children now in the matter of a couple months,
And
HHS is overwhelmed.
they can't find foster families for them.
No.
The language barrier is a big challenge, finding enough suitable, educated translators who can help, because these people are coming from all over. There's multiple challenges that people aren't even really understanding.
Well, you look at California, the San Diego, the Coliseum over there in San Diego. They had a bunch of homeless from San Diego that were there, including our veterans that are homeless that were in there, and they're moving them out to be able to take in all these illegal immigrants that entered illegally, to house them.
And that's got people heated,
But
displacing our veterans for people that...
and again, that was why we wanted to have conversations with the administration to warn them, do not do this. And the President of the United States is either A, getting bad information, or B, doesn't care. It's one or the other, because whoever's advising him on this is the correct way to do things, this all happened right after he signed his signature on that piece of paper from information that he was given or he didn't pay attention to. And that's why we've been fighting since day one to get out the real information, because we don't know what's coming across this border.
Right.
So the cartels are tying up our border patrolmen who are there for border security over here with the humanitarian issue, while over here on the east part of our county, I have illegals that are coming across, migrants, whatever you want to call them, that are coming in wearing camouflage and carpet booties. They're not here for anything other than nefarious activity.
No. Well, you mentioned this book here. It's The Crossing. And it is a photojournalistic approach to...
It's an amazing book.
Yes,
It covers both
it's
sides.
crossings worldwide, and it goes back
Exactly.
some instances to the 90s. And the gentleman that put it all together, an amazing philanthropist, he's got property in Arizona and Texas also, and he has trail cameras. So you see these people coming through, backpacks of contraband. Again, the carpet booties, so you can't detect the footprints.
Right.
And they try and come up with different ways. They have spotters that will try and circumvent some of the technology in the areas. And I remember years ago, our ranches down in southern Arizona, you know, they were at their wits' end because the crossings were so there were so many of them, and now it's got to be just that much more.
Well, and even just yesterday, I have a friend that works all around Yuma County, and he went out to one of the work sites in the foothills and found just what you were talking about, the carpet booties, backpacks full of water. And this is just
Yes.
In the foothills.
15 minutes away from us.
There's one instance in here too, and it's over 300 pages. Angel's asking for information on the book. I'll see if Anita can get
a shot of it.
a shot too. But there's one part too where a section while under construction, a section of the border wall was taken from the construction site, moved over to the Mexico site, and it looks like they have a soft landing platform or
Like
something
they use
built
it for
around it.
practice.
They used it as a practice climbing wall to get over the bollards that have been put in place there. And it's not anything that's like secluded or hidden away. It is directly across that border. And
you can see it.
It's like, hey, slap in your face.
Yeah.
Well, Janelle has an interesting comment here. She is from Iowa, but she says, these are just incredible numbers. We don't have to lose our assets and our humanity simultaneously. Calling for government responsibility is the only thing that can be done. And the next time Schrader's in town, I call for Sheriff Wilmot and Kenny Schrader.
On the Today Yuma show.
Want to be on the show together.
Well, that's
she's
good
a
because
race fan.
it gives you that perspective from somebody that's never been there.
Exactly.
So that is a good thing is to bring somebody that's never been on the border, doesn't live near a border, and then they can give you their perspective afterwards on what they've seen and how it opened their eyes. And it's true. You know, a lot of folks go away walking going, I had no idea.
Exactly.
I think
And, you know, the deaths in the desert, that's what we
Oh
want
my
to stop.
gosh.
You know, everybody's forgotten we have an opioid crisis. And we're
Oh,
seriously doing this country. Marijuana obviously has become a recreational drug.
We're seeing fentanyl and meth and
And-
cocaine increasing numbers.
And to say that marijuana is not a gateway drug is being false. Because we see it all the time. Once they reach that level of THC content where it no longer gives them that buzz or takes care of their issue, they're going to go to something stronger. And right now you're talking meth, cocaine, heroin, and fentanyl. And that's my concern from law enforcement as well as the rest of the sheriffs on the border is all this is orchestrated by the cartels again. So they're smuggling in their narcotics through the open deserts that we have here as well as down in the rest of the counties all along the border.
Using drones too.
They're using drones, they're using ultralights, they're digging tunnels, but backpackers are the easiest way for them to get, and fentanyl's small amount. You imagine what a backpack can handle, and it only takes a small
And
grain
how-
of salt of that
How
to
many
kill a
people that can wipe out?
person. It's killing people
Yeah.
all over the country because this is a high-intensity drug trafficking area, and for them to stop putting in, whether you want to call it a fence, a wall, don't care. You have to have 3 items to be able to secure someplace. They put it up around the Capitol. Number one thing they did was a fence,
Yeah.
correct?
Yes.
So you have to have that hard-sided structure to impede their ability to get in. Okay, they're going to get across it or around it. They want to take the time to do that, but then you have to have your electronic infrastructure, your lighting, your cameras, your sensors, and then you have to have the boots on the ground. Well, once that signature happened from the president on that executive order stopping any
All of that,
construction on the wall, the fence, whatever you want to call it, all that equipment is just laying out there now. So you have fencing without a gate. You have lighting and no cameras just laying on the ground. So the infrastructure is there, but it's just laying on the ground and not finished. So all this is just laying there. And
Right.
it's not helping.
No, it's not at all.
helping.
We're going to take another quick break on Today in Yuma. We will be back after this. The show is brought to you by Quick Refrigeration. Remember, it is Free Filter Friday. You do need to change out your filters on a regular basis. Take your old dirty filter down to 190 West 10th Street. They will swap it out with a brand new standard 1-inch filter for free.
And Sprague Sports, they are Yuma's hunting and shooting headquarters. You can stop by today on 32nd Street next to Lowe's.
And put that stimulus check to good use if you've been thinking of switching up your style in your home, maybe your living room, your bedroom, your dining room. At Houston's Yuma Furniture, they can help you out. Stop by the showroom on Avenue B.
Advocate Pest is locally owned and operated, offering general pest control, termite treatment and inspection, pigeon extraction, and now offering disinfecting services. You can find all the details at Advocate Pest and Wildlife on social media.
And Yuma Nelson was founded locally in 1978. Their team has over 100 years of combined knowledge and experience and a get-it-done-right attitude. Find them on Pacific Avenue today.
Plasma centers are critical, and donating plasma today could help others and earn you some extra money. Call Talacrest Plasma Resources at 782-2101.
It's Today in Yuma. We'll be back after the break on Z93 in Outlaw Country.
You know, there were 76,000 unaccompanied children in 2019.
Oh
my goodness. 76,000?
Yeah,
Was it
600,000 were family units, 850,000 apprehensions, 4,900 rescues, 6,100 fraudulent families were detected.
Wow.
So that's the stuff. We had
Yes,
271 border deaths out in the desert.
Well, I also worry about our Border Patrol officers. Look back 2019, 2018, 2019, we had
I've got
a
some
variety
numbers on
of
that.
suicides.
Yeah.
The stress is immeasurable for these individuals.
Let's see, there was... I was looking it up. If you pull up the DHS website, I want to say there was 27 Customs and Border Protection officers that died of COVID, and 1,800 that got COVID. It's on there. I had it somewhere. So I keep writing notes all over the place. So.
But it's important information.
Yes.
That's why.
Well, it is, and that's why I need to get that out there. Let's see.
It's food.
Hey, Foodie? Do you mind if we don't get to you?
Am I going over my hour?
No, we're not at an hour yet.
Oh, okay.
We'll do a Facebook Live when we're done. I think it's my connection. I have very low left ear and nothing in the right ear.
Yeah, it's got to be over
It's
there
not the
because
box.
I've been messing with the box over here, and it's not.
I'll play with it here in a little bit.
Okay.
It could have gotten pulled, and so you're not fully connected on the
Gotcha.
on the
Maybe it's
jack
other
over there.
connection
Yeah.
over there. Okay.
I think one of the greatest challenges we face in the United States is our citizens are too apathetic, especially people who don't live here.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. It's
And I
great to
think,
be a border security expert when you live 2,000 miles away.
and you have people telling you our borders are not open. The borders are closed. They're not coming through those ports.
Mayorkas is, no, somebody's being a willful participant in a campaign of misinformation.
Yeah.
That's just how it is.
I'm like, they're not. You can go to the ports and see it. Yeah, they're closed, and it's only those essential people that have the right documentation that work here, all those different things. But they're not coming through those. Go to the river right here. They're coming across right here.
They were able to walk across. Remember?
Yeah.
Was it May of 2019 when they declared a state of emergency
Yes.
for Yuma?
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to think if that was the month when it happened. I remember going to the press conference at City Hall. It was March or May?
March was COVID, so I think it was.
No,
May.
2019.
Oh, the first one.
I think you're right. I think it was May.
I think it was.
Dang it. Can't find it.
All right, here we go. Do you want to end with the break or just skip it?
Oh, here it is, the codes.
You got it?
Yeah.
You can take a
we
picture.
can end with it, but we
Okay.
can take certain things out if we just need to.
8
like
US
a minute one
code,
break.
improper entry by an
Are there any
alien.
actual sponsors in that one?
No.
Okay.
The speaker one.
I can move it on.
Okay.
We'll do that.
We'll
Okay.
just end
Yeah.
normal. Okay. Here we go.
Welcome back to Today in Yuma. I'm Jennifer.
And I'm Teresa.
We have Sheriff Leon Wilmot with us this morning from the Yuma County Sheriff's Office, and Tanya Pavlak is with us. Tanya is the new public affairs specialist, and she's being quiet today because we have just a lot of information for the sheriff. But
it's very informational
yes, it
for
is.
her, I'm sure.
It is, and being new to the position too, it gives her the opportunity to
exactly.
kind of get out and about. And
She
Yeah.
thought the chamber was exciting.
This is
Sheriff's
next
Office
level.
is a member of the Chamber of Commerce for Yuma, but just when you thought it was the most excitement you'd ever get, boom.
Yeah.
Now, we do have a question. Tom wants to know how the sheriff's car is running.
Awesome.
Awesome. Okay.
Is he talking about the Model A?
The Model A or the race car? I don't know.
Well, racing was kind of curbed because of COVID, obviously. But the little Model A, my backup that I only use for pursuits, it's running good.
All right. We've been talking about the border challenges that the Yuma County Sheriff's Office has been experiencing, as have many of our sheriffs and law enforcement agencies along the entire southwest border, which stretches lots and lots of miles.
Right.
And we were talking briefly during the break about some of the challenges that our Border Patrol have been going through. And, you know, it's been tough. You know, we've had situations here in the Yuma County over the last 5 years where I've heard of, you know, Yuma County, the El Central sector, you know, within probably a 200-mile radius any direction. We hear the stories of our agents that have passed away.
Yes.
And there have been very, very dire situations involving their mental health, too. And people think, oh, that's a Border Patrol officer. They're strong and tough.
It's very frustrating.
Everyone is affected in so many ways, especially when they just felt like things weren't really being answered or help wasn't being given, especially with the migrant crisis in 2019.
Well, it's a lot of stress on them. You know, their main focus and function is law enforcement, not to be running the transportation hub for the cartels, and they're exposed to this each and every day, and they are members of our community. They are members of every community where they work.
Yep.
Their kids go to the schools, their families live here, they have relatives elsewhere, so they're still, I mean, to look at them as just, oh, it's a Border Patrolman.
Yeah.
That's not,
No,
that's
they're
not
people.
Right.
They're people.
They're people
And
just
then
like we are in law enforcement.
You throw a pandemic on the back of a year-long migrant crisis that had taken place, and they're just exhausted.
And they've exposed themselves to each and everything that's coming across our international boundary with Mexico, coming from at least 141 countries during 2019. And unfortunately, because of this exposure, we have lost a number of U.S. Customs and Border Protection personnel, and they've also brought this stuff home and exposed their families to this. If it wasn't enough that, you know, the pandemic's self-isolate, now you've just placed your whole family to TB or COVID or scabies.
And when our officers get sick and they, you know, they're on quarantine or whatever it may be, the Border Patrol agents that are manning our different checkpoints that are going through are having to move to go take care of these people that are coming across illegally. Now we have a checkpoint that could possibly be catching some of these drugs, you know, that we were talking about. It's closed and open to just go through because we have to move people around to make the manpower to be able to do that job.
You look at 2019, and I know I gave you some numbers, but I don't think your listeners did. In 2019, there was 860,000 apprehensions along the southwestern border. 600,000 of those were family units. 76,000 were unaccompanied children. That was in 2019. Now, in the last 2 months, they've close to, 30,000?
Yeah.
Just in 2 months. And this was in 2019 as a whole. 4,900 rescues were conducted by our federal partners. 300,000 hours of time that they had to spend at medicals, standbys at hospitals because of individuals that had injuries or needed medical attention. We had 271 border deaths, and that's something else that we as sheriffs, we have to respond to. The federal government does not handle that.
Really?
Every year, if there's a rape, a robbery, a death in the desert, that is placed on the local law enforcement. Border Patrol does not investigate that, nor does HSI.
Okay.
So it's a function that we as law enforcement have to handle. So every death in the desert, and we work closely with our consulates to try to determine country of origin with our medical examiner's office, and then try to figure out where this individual was from.
That desert is big.
Yes.
It's huge, and we're, Monday? It's supposed to get up into the 90s.
93 on Monday.
Yesterday evening, one of our officers was working Stogard, marker 198, which is about 20 rough miles from San Luis towards the east, out in the remote desert. Ran across one female with 3 juveniles. Border Patrol did not have anybody available to come pick those people up. This is in the evening when the wind's blowing and it gets cold in the desert. So because of the humanitarian issues, I had my officers transport those folks into Border Patrol. So we are also exposing ourselves, but I cannot leave anybody out in the desert to fend for themselves.
No.
That's not what we're about. We're about public safety,
Right.
public health, and improving the quality of life of the people we serve.
And the same
But-
applies when it's 115 degrees in the middle of July and August.
And with the amount of narcotics being smuggled into this country, that's why we have officers, every one of us sheriffs are augmenting our federal partners by putting our officers down there to prevent the cartels from smuggling in narcotics. Cochise County, because they're dealing with a whole different dynamic compared to us. Talking with Sheriff Daniels down there, he's got pursuits just about every day of human smuggling going on in his county. And they're placing the citizens there in danger by doing what they're doing.
Oh.
And he's trying to fight that battle down in Cochise County.
And how
it's an
can
everyday
you
affair.
reassure your residents too and give them that sense of security when stuff like that is happening every day?
Oh, yeah, they see it, and they're just as mad at the administration for. Mayorkas is losing any kind of trust in us as law enforcement by putting out statements that the border is secure and everything is fine. It's not. He's being a willful participant in the campaign of misinformation, in my eyes. They're not giving the American people the real truth on what they're facing. They say they have a plan. Well, when we talked with DHS before this happened, because they said they were going to cancel the MPP as the prior administration had it, and they were going to bring in 25,000 that were waiting. We told them, you need to sit down and think about this before you do it, and that was just the MPP process. What are you going to do here? No, we've been working on a plan before the election. We're going to have this handled. That's what they told us, sheriffs, on the phone in a conference call. We have yet to see a plan, and it doesn't look like their plan, if they had one, is working. It's not.
Sheriff, we have about 4 minutes left with you, and I think it's important that maybe you can give us an idea of, as a community, as someone who lives on the border, what can we do to help? Is it reaching out to our senators? What can we do?
Reaching out to the senators is absolutely what we need as sheriffs all along the border, to make sure that they understand that we see the truth on the border, and what's being given to the American citizens from back there in D.C. is false. And you can do emails, you can letter write, phone calls is the most important one.
All of their information is available online. It's easy to find.
Exactly, but they need to make our senators stand up and protect the citizens. Government's first and foremost responsibility is protecting the American citizen, period. Get politics out of public safety has to be the message. I don't care about political theater. Public safety is nonpartisan. It's the rule of law. And the message that needs to be sent to all these countries by this administration is, and I know it's hard, but is if you enter this country between a port of entry and you enter illegally, your chances of staying in this country are nil. They just have to be forceful, just like any parent is with a kid. You know, if you break this rule, you're not going to get your toy.
There's consequences.
Absolutely.
There's consequences for your action. Unless you have consequences, you're just opening up to all kinds of criminal element out there. So call our senators, tell them what's going on the border as they see it and as they hear it from their local communities, and tell them that they need to stop this. Put in a plan in place to do it legally, but stop what's going on now, because kids are being exploited. We don't want to run into that again. I don't need the deaths in the desert. I've been there. I've done that. I've had to do 14 in one day.
Oh,
I don't need our deputies out there having to do this. Families from any country don't want to get a phone call that they've lost a loved one to this.
Or their
Stop
entire
this.
family.
Because they're just enabling the cartels by what they're doing now. And history has shown.
Well, great information, Sheriff. Thank you for being the voice of transparency for our community. And I hope that other people are watching this from far and wide and kind of get more of an idea of what your deputies and our officials, state, local, and federal, are dealing with on our
In
border
our
here.
communities.
Our communities.
Absolutely.
The impacts are far-reaching. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. We do appreciate it, and we love all of our cat figurines you have provided us over the course of our time on the air.
More than welcome.
Cat Shirt Friday.
Yes.
Remember, get your entries in by 10 a.m. this morning. You have about a minute and 8 seconds to get those sent in. Post them on our pages or send us a message. We thank you so much for joining us, Sheriff Wilmot,
Absolutely.
Tanya Pavlak.
I'm still here.
And we're going to take our lotus
She
day
is
spot
here.
and
She'll be able
salon
to do this next time.
Tanya's awesome. Thank you so much. I know you're both very busy. We do appreciate it so much. This is Today in Yuma. We will be back on Monday, and we're going to be visiting with Peggy Collins from the JCs, talking about Rodeo 2021 coming up here in just a few weeks, if you can think about that. We'll have all that information. Up next on Z93, it is the Bob and Sherry Show, and Outlaw Country will bring you your favorite classic country music. KCYK Yuma and KLJZ Yuma.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Thank you, Anita.
You got your cards yet? Anna can make some up for you.
Don't have cards yet.
We gotta do our selfie.
advertise her phone number.